Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
This is Fish Jelly. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. So we recorded a review of Stranger by the Lake with Queer Cinema Catch-Up. So that video is available on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description of this podcast so people can check it out. So that Michael Jackson movie, Michael, directed by
Antoine Fuqua.
So we've talked about it several times.
We've been waiting and waiting.
I'm anxious to see, well, I mean, of course, I'm just generally anxious to see it, but very curious about who's playing Janet Jackson, because on the IMDb, she's not listed.
Herself.
But it's a surprise cameo. No, someone posted a picture of it. Someone posted a picture from set, I guess, showing Nia Long as Katherine Jackson, who looks really believable. An actress who I'm not familiar with playing LaToya. But can you guess who's playing Janet Jackson?
No.
Halle Bailey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was that so that's a secret, or was?
I mean, I can't really, you'd have to get up and look at this picture, but yeah. Well, maybe you should. It's worth it to get your reaction. So clearly this is like 1980, maybe like Fame, Different Strokes era.
Yes, definitely.
And
Fame.
I can totally imagine this look on her. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, she's of the correct caliber.
She's the correct caliber, yes. So I'm pleased, and I think she looks really cute. It's giving more Tisha Campbell than but
like in Little Shop of Horrors.
But even seeing LaToya, and did you take notice of Katherine? She looks good. Mm-hmm. So that's promising from my perspective. Moving on, do you know the film 47 Ronin?
Well, there are several many virgins. There are 47 virgins.
I don't think there are that many virgins running around here, but
not this block at least.
I think it's a 2013, 2014 version.
The one with Keanu.
Is that it? Mm-hmm. It's directed by someone named Erik Rinsch.
Yeah, he's been arrested.
He's arrested by the feds for money laundering.
Yeah.
But I was reading about it, and it's crazy because he had only directed one film, which is 47 Ronin.
Which is a terrible, terrible version of that movie.
That's what I read, but I'm not familiar. I'll take your word for it. But
it's caca.
He got that film off the strength of his working relationship with Ridley Scott. I'm not sure in what capacity he worked for Ridley Scott, but he did work on some big movies like Blade Runner, Gladiator, The Martian.
He was a bearer of pills.
And then he has like I think a film studies degree. But anyway, he was given that chance to make that movie, and then it flopped. And then Netflix gave him a bunch of money to make a sci-fi series about AI. I think it's called Conquest. Anyway, they initially gave him $44 million, and he missed several deadlines, and then told them that he needed an extra $11 million to get it done. So the feds are after him for the $11 million, saying that he laundered it because he ran it through many accounts that ultimately fed into a personal account. And then the way he used that money is outrageous, which I'll get to in a second. But this is after he was already levied like a $9 million, like he's through mediation, he was already supposed to give Netflix back like $9 million. So he's wasted the full $55 million and was already told he needs to pay back like $9 million. And now he's in trouble for this $11 million. And then the stuff he spent it on is crazy as hell. Like cars, watches, luxury rentals, Bitcoin. He even used it to pay for like a divorce. He bought 2 mattresses that totaled like $600,000, and the sheets for the mattresses were $300,000. I'm assuming they're like those NBA player beds that are like custom made to be the size of like a swimming pool. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine? He even used some of that money to pay for the lawyers to help him with the Netflix situation. This man's in trouble,
God, that sounds nerve wracking.
doesn't it? It's
Like,
just like
like, where there was there any script? Was there any attempt?
I was reading because, of course, there are many videos and articles. And one article I read was just speculating, like, how could this happen? And it's kind of like they attribute it to a few things, but one is like, this person having some shine on them,
Mm-hmm.
being like, oh, well, first off, these executives, like at these streaming platforms like Netflix, it's like, who knows how, if they're anything like marketers, like I work in brand marketing, and the way people talk about stuff is just very esoteric. Like, oh, this is trending right now. And it's like, oh, because one high up person saw something on their TikTok feed, they think this is like the thing. So I wonder if, like, yeah, this guy had some shine on him. So they think, oh, he's attached to Ridley Scott, and Ridley Scott's a big deal. So we should give him money.
But they just handed him the money. Like
Yeah.
there were.
Well, they don't just give you a pocket full of money. You know, it's set up through a business and a production company, but the intention, and like any big project, they have like a contract, and you're supposed to deliver. It's just like when you sign a publishing deal for a book. It's like, we need to see chapters,
Yeah,
chapter 1 by March 20th and
that
chapter 2 by April
that has
20th.
to be air dance.
But he didn't even meet those contractual obligations. But then,
Yet still siphoning off cash. Like,
well, because then I'm like, well, how does that happen? And I think like it it it's like any toxic relationship. It's like you kind of have already invested so much, like you've already sunk so much in. It's like, well, after everything you've done to me, you do one more thing. It's like, well, can you give me another chance? Well, my dumbass already gave you 13 chances. What's the 14th chance? So I think that's probably what happened, is that they already gave him 44 million, and he's saying, if you don't give me this extra 11, then the project is in the, like, dead in the water. So then it's like, well, do we throw away 44 million or give this extra money and maybe have a hit on our hands? And then I read something else talking about how a lot of these streaming platforms feel pressure to keep up, like with all the, all these other platforms. It seems like every month there's a new sort of like viral thing, right? Like it's White Lotus right now, and then next month it'll be something else. So they're saying it's like FOMO. So maybe a combination of the shine this guy had with the Netflix having this fear of not having the next big thing, plus all the money they've already sunk into it. It's like, if they don't give him 11 million, they're guaranteed to lose 44 versus maybe have something they can work with. But yeah, like you already said, that feels so stressful to just. And then I was watching some YouTube video, and some lawyer was saying that if it were me defending him, I'd probably try to make a case that he was using that 11 million as like his future income from the movie. Like he understood that that was like that was going to be his salary anyway, so he just used it ahead of time. Which is like, if any of us did that at our real jobs, you'd be in jail. So, like, no.
and did nobody at Netflix watch his previous film? Because it's terrible. I wouldn't give
But
that.
see, that's what I'm thinking. Just based off of the kind of shit that gets made, like, oh, look at whose kid got to this opportunity,
Right.
or oh, look at this, like, well-known producer in Hollywood. Their son is now making a movie that has like a budget, and it's like, why? Oh, because he made a movie with Keanu Reeves, and Keanu Reeves is a big deal. Well, did you watch the movie? Apparently, it's terrible.
It's terrible, and Keanu's not in it that much. I wouldn't give that man money to buy me a sandwich.
Well, I mean, maybe that's why they need like people who are.
Where's the project manager?
Well, I think there needs to be a balance of art and science, right? That's why we work so well, I think. But someone needs to understand the business, but also love the art. Like,
yes.
And I think maybe I didn't do that much research. I don't know what he did for Ridley Scott, but it's like, oh, you're attached to this big name. So now all of a sudden you're like the golden child.
Well, Ridley
What if he was just a PA?
Ridley Scott's own,
not just a PA, but
children are directing films now. So why not?
Why not? Moving on to other film news. I saw something on Bloody Disgusting that the Saw series is done.
Uh-huh.
Because after Saw 10, which was kind of for a Saw movie, it was more critically acclaimed, and I think we liked it more than the previous ones.
Oh, for sure. But I still didn't like it. But
And
yeah.
it was commercially successful, I believe. They immediately announced there'd be Saw 11, and they even had like a marketing campaign to promote it, saying that it would be released September of 2024, which obviously didn't happen. But then recently, someone confirmed that the series as a whole is like dead in the water, like, which is kind of surprising to me because the Saw franchise,
Did that make a bunch of money?
yeah, I mean, it's if not the most, one of the most money making horror franchises. It's made over $1 billion. I mean, considering our last story, I'm kind of shocked that they wouldn't find a way. But maybe whomever owns the IP is like, hell no. Or
Tobin Bell's like, please let me be.
well, because Tobin Bell and the other lady were supposed to come back for the 11th one. I don't know if I can't imagine that they thought, oh, they're not right because they let them be in the other ones and they didn't make any sense. So
Right.
I don't. It can't be for artistic reasons that they're not doing it. It must be money stuff. But
Yeah.
do you know who the rapper Craig Mack is? He had
Is that his stage name?
yeah, and he came through Bad Boy Records, and I remember him in like I was still in high school, so it was like the mid '90s, and he had one big song called "Flavor in Your Ear." If I played it, you might recognize it. I think people who are fans of '90s hip hop would absolutely know who Craig Mack is. Anyway, he died like, oh gosh,
I just looked him up in 2018.
yeah, like
Okay.
it was before the pandemic. But at the time, they said that he had died from like congestive heart failure, I believe. But it was recently revealed and then confirmed that he actually died from untreated HIV and AIDS.
Oh, like Flavor, or no, sorry, Easy.
Yeah, and it's not so much about
Flavor.
his, but then it was confirmed that like he had asked his family not to say, but it's maybe not for the reasons people might think. It's that he was part of something called the Overcomer Ministry. And that ministry teaches that seeking medical care is a sign of not putting faith in God's ability to heal.
Oh,
And that's what I want to talk about more because I go on and on about HIPAA. So it's not I'm, it's not about putting this man's medical history on blast. The reason that people found out is I guess no one ever looked at his death certificate because it's on his death certificate. So it
wow.
took like, but he's not super famous. So I'm sure no one was like, we need to go into the crates to find this shit. But so not speculating on his health at all. I'm more just like shocked that there's a ministry out there telling people that they just have to have faith in God to heal them. Because
And that works every time.
and because I mean, are there any like there are more examples of that not working?
Uh-huh.
But like I don't understand how someone could be a part of something that's telling you don't seek medical attention. And also, I feel like a lot of people like that, they certainly pick and choose. Because if you have a headache, you might take some Tylenol, or if you have an STI, you'll certainly want antibiotics.
Uh-huh.
But this thing you're not going to treat, which then also not, I don't know anything about Craig Mack's health and how he contracted HIV, but it makes me, HIV infection rates have decreased significantly amongst men who have sex with men.
But it's still there
Because of education
yes.
and PrEP, which is the medication people can take to reduce their risk of becoming infected. So then, of course, the infection rates amongst heterosexual women and couples have increased significantly. And that's, so the chart kind of like, they crossed boats passing in the night, but going in the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've said it before, but
You mean God didn't just get bored with AIDS and was, I'm going to dial up some other disease?
Yeah. So I think people who, if you're in, people need to get tested, is what I'm trying to say, especially people who think they're not at risk. So if you're heterosexual or you think that your partner wouldn't be having sex with other people, from my research, you're you have high hopes for yourself and your health if you're just putting it in God's hands. But yeah, moving on.
Anyway, well, poor thing. I mean, he must, you want to it makes you want to speculate, like maybe he had it for a while. I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, he died at 47, so
Yeah, that's pretty
poor
young.
thing. My last topic in this section is, I like Very Delta, and I recently watched an episode with Pheromone. And Pheromone. You watched her on her first season of Drag Race and All Stars, and she comes across as like a sensitive, like sweet airhead.
Yeah, she's a little bobblehead, and she really got mad at Valentina. That's what I remember.
But I have to say, and it's more about just this idea that it's so interesting to hear people talk about things they're passionate about or well informed about because they come to life.
Yeah, like weed smokers. Mm-hmm.
So when you ask them about like, oh, what's this strain do? Then they get real hype.
My God.
It's like a full on like 400 level college course. Like they have a presentation for you and everything.
I know what kind of interaction this is having with your blood.
And what supplements are you taking? Because you might want to hold back. Yeah, they know everything. But so I thought Pheromone's interview was really cute, but it was funny because Pheromone became popular before Drag Race because her likeness was used on MySpace a lot, like to catfish people.
Oh,
and I knew this from back in the day. But anyway, listening to Pheromone talk about MySpace and photo editing, photoshopping, and there's something I had never heard of called SIFs, SIF, which stands for Secret Internet Fatty, which is basically like, and I knew nothing about this, but the way Pheromone talked about it was like, you could have her on CNN as like an expert. It's just so funny to watch someone be like this snivelly little thing who's like, I'm just a little girl and I don't know what's going on. And then you ask her about something she knows and that lady came to life. But secret internet fatties, I guess, were like in the MySpace era, like when photo editing became more popular, like initially, because now everyone has a filter on their ass. But like, let's say someone like me who's maybe like 10 20 pounds heavier than I'd want to be, but then I take pictures of myself and then edit them to make me look thinner, but then people find actual photos of me and expose me as being a secret internet fatty. So it's not like Luther before and after. It's not that extreme. It's like, yeah, someone like me who would then put like a 6-pack on my body, but then they realize that that's not true, and then I get like shamed. Anyway, that actual thing is not that interesting to me. It was more listening to someone who I was familiar with, who always sounds so like an airhead. But listening to her talk about that era of MySpace and bullying and photo editing was pretty interesting.
And I guess early web sleuthing.
Yeah.
What was it? Remember all those? Were Korean girls that would do those
makeup
tutorial, basically a makeup tutorial, but to transform their face?
That
it's kind of creepy.
They were more popular a while ago, but I still see them, and it's kind of crazy. Like the tapes and the like, people put like a fake layer of skin on their face. Mm-hmm. It's not even makeup. It's like yeah. I mean, can you imagine?
It's like, why are you doing all that work unless you're getting paid like a spy's salary?
A spy's salary.
I wouldn't, to what? Go to the club and then meet some man where you got to go wash everything off? No.
Which reminds me of, is it I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker?
Oh, God.
When they bring that lady home and she takes off her eye or her leg and her...
Yes.
Moving on to 5 on the black hand side, 5 black filmmakers who are not Tyler Perry. Who do we have first?
We actually have 2 filmmakers I purposefully put on there because they have new films this weekend, just like Tyler Perry.
Oh, excellent.
The first one, okay, so we panned his film, but it's still better than anything I've seen by Tyler Perry.
Yes.
Flying Lotus, also known as Stephen Ellison. Flying Lotus is his stage name. He's also known as Fly Low.
We reviewed his film Ash.
Mm-hmm. Ash. And I haven't seen his first film, Kuso, but I've heard it's kind of batshit crazy and worth watching. But Ash has Asa Gonzalez and Aaron Paul, mm-hmm. and it's kind of a...
it's a visual auditory experience.
It is a better auditory experience than it is anything else. But so I will give it that. But that is well worth seeking out over Tyler Perry's Duplicity. That's for sure.
which we also reviewed, and people seem to enjoy.
Yes.
Who's the second one?
Elijah Bynum, who directed Magazine Dreams, also a sophomore
Oh,
film.
also something we reviewed, which
With
I think it stars
Jonathan Majors.
who gave a, I think, pretty spectacular performance.
Yes, it is. To me, it's up there with De Niro and Taxi Driver, or it's getting a lot of comparisons to Joaquin Phoenix. It's Arthur Fleck in Joker as well. Of course, of another film heavily influenced by Taxi Driver. But yeah, that is well worth seeking out, and of course, delayed for 2 years for various reasons.
Who do we have next?
Stella Meghie. Whose last film we reviewed, but I saw it alone. You didn't come with me, and it was The Photograph.
Oh, yeah.
With Issa Rae and Lakeith Stanfield and Shantae Adams.
Yeah.
But I think it was, this was a kind of a Magazine Dreams connection. I was looking up Taylor Page. I like Taylor Page more than you do, I think. But, and I spied a title that I remember it being at the Toronto Film Festival, and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that film. I was completely delighted by Gene of the Joneses.
Oh, I'm not familiar.
We'll talk more about that in movies I watch for fun, but it's got
good.
Taylor Page is the lead. She's Jean, but we have Sherry Shepherd as her mother, Erica Ash, Michelle Hurst, Mamadou Athie, Gloria Rubin, who we see in all kinds of stuff. We just saw her as a mother in My Dead Best Friend Zoe.
Oh,
You've seen her forever.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was I don't know what I was I wasn't expecting it to be crap, but I put it on. I was like, the writing is superb. So I had a lot of fun with that. So I wanted to highlight her this week as well.
Oh, I'm interested in watching that.
I think you'd enjoy it.
Who do you have next?
Raine Allen Miller, and we reviewed her first film, which was out of Sundance, called Rye Lane.
Oh,
I don't know if do you remember that film?
No.
Where it's the two Utes. It's set in the UK, and they basically have a meet cute. They've both broken up with somebody, and they kind of spend the day together and fall in love. And there's, of course, that moment of drama where everything might fall apart. The leads are Vivian Opara and David Johnson, who is the he's the android in the latest Alien film.
Oh,
we reviewed it, and we did give it a positive review.
And lastly,
Rashid Johnson, and he's only directed one film to date, and I didn't love it, but it was daring. So of course, much deserving of being on here. But he adapted the classic novel Native Son and kind of contemporized it in 2019, which is that's daring to do. And I don't think it entirely works, but it's not. I'll leave it at that. It's a really big swing, and therefore worth talking about, especially in comparison to the classic adaptation of the novel. But that was from 2019, and I had forgotten about him, and I don't think he has directed anything since. But I feel somebody. Can you imagine adapting that novel as your first film as a young filmmaker? It seems insane to me. But so the fact that he even did that, I remember seeing it Sundance 2019. But anyway, Rashid Johnson.
Thank you for that. In the restaurant section, we did try a new place. It's called Descanso. Mm-hmm. It's a Mexican restaurant in the mid-Wilshire area.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the old Marie Callender spot, which we've talked about before. So there was a Marie Callender's on Wilshire, and it's right next to the La Brea Tar Pits, if people know where that is. And near LACMA and the Peterson Automotive Museum.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the world's fanciest Marie Callender's, and they had such an amazing brunch.
It was a brunch buffet, and I still have fond memories. We only went once because it was decadent.
And it's one of those places where I regret not going more often because now it's gone.
Well, right, but I mean, it was heavy.
You can't eat like that a lot, but I wish I would have had one more go at it before
Yes.
they left. Anyway, we got Descanso. It's supposed to be like a Mexican taqueria with sort of like a modern twist, is what they say. What did you think of this place?
It was okay. It was like a lot of things felt a little bit overpriced. The service was a little bit slow, but people were very nice.
Yeah, the service, they were nice, but it was so slow, so slow. Although they do have a happy hour, I see, so maybe I would go back for happy hour. They do have a parking lot in the back that they do validate for, so it's $5, which is reasonable, I think, for that area.
Yes, because we didn't realize that they had that parking lots, but it makes sense that they do because trying to park over there randomly it would be stressful.
Yeah, I mean, I went to beauty school over there, and then I actually worked at the same beauty school, and yeah, parking was always interesting.
And you were, but that was between two 99-cent stores.
Oh,
Wasn't that?
that was such a weird time in my life, and then such a weird location. And then for almost 2 years of my life, the 99-cent store was such a big part of my life because I was in between two of them. Like, and then my beauty school had two, remember it had two locations?
Yes.
So it was like there were two locations that were like next to each other, but then they were spaced apart by two 99-cent stores.
Mm-hmm.
That was such a weird. And so the reason I'm bringing up the two locations is I had to work in both. I would like work at the one because one school was like the aesthetics program and the other was the cosmetology. So I'd start the day in the aesthetics program and then transfer to cosmetology. So I'd be going back and forth. Also, the bathrooms in the aesthetics program were nicer. So if I needed a longer toilet visit, I'd have to walk back to.
I need a long bio break.
I need privacy and like, but so I would walk by the 99-cent store all the time. And I don't know how I was able to manage my weight okay back then.
You were
I don't
just,
know how
yes.
though. I don't know how. Cause I mean, I would bring home stuff sometimes, like, and you'd be like, where did this, like, what is this?
Because I remember you'd go with a gaggle of those students.
Well, all the students, they didn't have money. And so they loved the 99-cent store. So we would just, we would just go. Anyway, what did we order at Descanso? We got some nachos, which I thought were really good.
They were really good, and they actually gave us. There was a lot of meat on
There was
them.
more stuff than chips,
Yeah,
which is usually the opposite.
yeah.
And then, I love to give you grief for ordering lobster anything because it's always some bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But you actually got the lobster enchiladas,
Yeah.
and they were suitable to you.
There was a decent amount of lobster flesh in them. So yeah, they tasted good. I mean, still expensive.
It was expensive. And then I got carne asada, which I thought you didn't taste the meat,
No.
but it was a very nice cut of meat. I really liked the beans. I got pozole, which was, I thought, quite tasty. There was a lot of meat in it. Very little hominy corn. So I feel like I ate a lot of meat, and then for dessert we got this Mexican brownie.
That I didn't love.
It was okay. It had like a graham cracker crust with, of course, anything Mexican chocolate's gonna have cinnamon in it. And then the top of the brownie was marshmallow.
See, marshmallows always seem cheap to me.
They seem cheap to me too, but because I don't ever eat them, that's why I chose it. I thought it would be interesting. But that being said, now that I know they have a happy hour and looking at their happy hour menu, it's actually pretty decent. I think this might be a cute place to stop, like if we have a screening on Wilshire. Like,
and just get loaded.
yeah, just, well, you don't have to drive, but you can have a glass of wine. I think that's okay.
Yes. An appropriate amount of libations.
So there was something in the question section, and you already mentioned the movie Ash. There were so many, I got so many messages, and then there were comments about that. YouTube video where you can see us sitting in front of our green screen.
Uh-huh.
And so there were comments about like, oh, we hated the movie so much we didn't bother to. And I want to clear it up that was not the reason why.
We've hated things more.
Yeah, and I still put a green. No, I've learned that the way I record our videos, there's a certain setting that I'm still not quite sure on, but it happened twice already. That if there's something that I do incorrectly, that when I try to make the video green screen, it doesn't register. So it was simply that when I tried to convert the green screen to the actual background image I wanted, it wouldn't take. Like, it made the entire thing like this weird blurry visual. So it was more of a technical issue, not me trying to be shady towards this movie. And I feel bad because that was so far from my mind when I made the decision to say, F it, we're just going to upload it like this, because I did not want to re-record that video. So if anything, I'm guilty of being lazy. Well, also having to tell Nick anything is... I'd rather just upload a shit video than tell you we have to do it again. But I don't think the video was shit. It's just it's green screen. So, and the lighting wasn't bad. So I think it looks deliberate, but it's not.
Okay.
It was an accident. Okay.
Are you going to explain also another change that has made us have to rethink introductions?
Oh, so the way I record our videos and using these wireless microphones, they record in stereo, which I made that mistake with my first recording on my own, I think, where it sounds like you can only hear me in one ear. So then I learned I have to convert every video to mono to then edit. But that process is, because then I have to transfer the process used to be like transfer the video, put the green screen, put it in Garage, transfer it from iMovie to GarageBand, make it mono, transfer it back to iMovie, da-da-da-da-da. But then I found that I can do all the audio within the app I'm recording on. And so it saves me a lot of time. And I noticed the audio sounds a little better lately because of it. But it's very sensitive to volume. And everyone knows Nick is very dynamic in his auditory presentations.
Dynamic.
So Nick's volume doubles when I'm not going to say shouts or screams because he doesn't like those words. When he says the titles, his volume is double that of his normal speaking voice, and it's just out of the range. So for the more recent videos, I've just had to cut out that portion and put in an alternate audio. I try to remind him, and he was successful. I think Snow White is fine. Death of a Unicorn, which is coming next week, that we couldn't use that. I had to find a lady saying it, I think. So, but there's a learning curve for us all, and we'll both get it right. Okay, films released we didn't cover: The Alto Nights.
I think it's Lionsgate. The only screening I got invited to is in the morning. I was like, I'm not driving to see The Alto Nights.
I don't even know what this is.
We saw a trailer for it. It's where Bobby De Niro is playing two characters.
Oh, yes.
And directed by Barry Levinson, who is an excellent director who's obviously worked with De Niro before. Wag the Dog comes to mind. God, I haven't seen that in forever. Yeah, about two rival crime bosses, etc., etc. I mean, I'm sure I'll watch this eventually, but yeah, that's one of the major release this week that we didn't cover.
Projects of interests. Well, I guess it could be interest. Ghosts Don't Cry.
I don't love Fatih Akin, Turkish-German film director, but he can be interesting, and he's already got a film in the...
That's like Patti LaBelle saying, I don't dislike Diana Ross. She's talented sometimes.
Yeah, see, they're clock's right twice a day. Anyway, he's already got a film in the can that might be at Cannes. According to early predictions, he reunited with what?
Was that your attempt at comedy?
That was accidental.
Or you made yourself laugh?
I was... Pun intended. He reunited with Diane Kruger from who they worked together in a film called In the Fade, which I remember not liking. And I think was that 2017 or 18? I can't. Anyway, they did another film that is set to probably premiere somewhere this year. But he announced another project that's going to go into production called Ghost Don't Cry, and apparently it's about a romance between two 17-year-olds, and one of them dies and comes back to visit the other one in their dreams. I don't know.
Hmm. Is Aronofsky doing Cujo?
Apparently he's
Okay, what's the movie we watched? You put it on one night in the bedroom, and it was about a dog that was so campy.
Man's Best Friend with
Okay.
Lance Henriksen and Ali Sheedy.
Okay,
That's caca, but fun.
I'd recommend that. So, have I seen Cujo with you?
Yes,
Oh.
with Dee Wallace, and who's that little boy that became the crackhead?
Oh,
Danny
Pintaro?
Yeah, he's a
He
little
was
boy.
addicted to meth. Then he became a manager of a cheesecake factory I used to like to go to in Vegas.
Oh yes, yep.
Yeah.
Poor
So I'm
thing.
glad that he's better.
Yes, he recovered. But I am a fan of the original Cujo. I think that's actually one of the better Stephen King adaptations. But Aronofsky is an interesting choice, and I'm sure would demand creative control at the very least, which is something these Stephen King adaptations need from
Maybe
a reputable.
Netflix can give him some money.
I think it's for a streaming service, but
Okay.
I don't know. Not everything Aronofsky does I love. I mean, I don't think The Whale is good.
Well, let's move on. So on Patreon, we continue to review RuPaul's Drag Race season 17, and then by the end of the day, we should have a review up for Divorced Italian Style, so people can check those out if they give us money.
Oh, and the next White Lotus episode.
We review those for YouTube.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting all this stuff.
Well, you have a lot on your mind.
Yes, I do.
Unfortunately, there are entries in the obituary section. First up is Emily
Dequan. Mm-hmm. She's a Belgian actress. She's only 43. I guess she had some kind of cancer, which is really depressing. But she first became of note for the Dardenne brothers film Rosetta in 1999, which won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. And since then, she's amassed quite an impressive filmography. I think the 2012 film Our Children was the English language title from Joaquin Lafosse. That she plays a mother who kills her children, who's married to Tahar Rahim in that. I think they gave her a special award out of the director's fortnight, but that kind of reignited her career in a major way as a young adult. We reviewed her in one of her well, she did several films since this, but she's one of the moms in the movie Close.
Oh, yes, about the two boys, the friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's the mother of the one who commits suicide.
That's a very good movie. I'd recommend it.
Yes, and she's very good in it. But and then she did this film. God, it premiered very strangely. It was back then. It was known as the Colcoa Film Festival, City of Light, City of Angels, and now I think it's called the Los Angeles French Film Festival, whatever. It debuted here. It's a Lucas Belvaux film called Not My Type, is the French film, or the English language title, Belgian film. And she's excellent in that. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of on par with Trachtenberg dying. Like these young, like they're really young.
Yeah. Next, Jan Schwieterman died. He's the kid. People might know him from the movie Good Burger. He was the main white kid in that.
Oh, shit.
He was only 52. Apparently, he found out he had stage 4 cancer. It was very aggressive, right? But didn't find out until it was stage 4. So died very quickly.
Ugh.
That's very sad. Yeah, he was only 52. And then, of course, George Foreman.
Yeah.
The boxing champ and entrepreneur. He died at the age of 76. If people don't know him from being a boxer, they certainly know his
grill.
His grills.
I think we still have one, don't we?
Yeah. I think everyone in America probably had one or has one. But yeah. And
do you remember that commercial for it? George.
Yeah. But a dynamic character who at a point found religion and was like a preacher man and
Mm.
a philanthropist and a baby maker. And but yeah, I didn't think to look.
He was deserving of a better film biopic
I know
because that was pretty bad.
it wasn't worthy of his well, because they also don't focus on what. Yeah, it felt very like they want to highlight he was a religious man,
Yes.
but I think his nothing against that, but I think as a public figure, as a black man, to have so much success in business, and I, to me, I would have been more interested in how he was able to secure um, that deal and set up his family for generational wealth, and that
Mhm.
probably would have been more interesting to me, and all the behind the scenes dealings, and because I'm sure they just thought of him as like some you know big meathead.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, he will be missed by many.
Yes.
The secret film this week was my choice, and I chose the 2022 Spanish black comedy, The Coffee Table, also known as La Mesita del Comedor. It's directed by Calle Casas. What is this film about? Jesus and Maria are a couple going through a difficult time in their relationship. Nevertheless, they have just become parents. To shape their new life, they decide to buy a new coffee table, a decision that will change their existence. Why did I choose this film? Not too long ago, we received several many messages about it. So at that time, I had read the full plot on Wikipedia and thought it seemed really dark and interesting. So I had bumped it up on my list of secret films. And when I decided to make it this week's, I realized, oh, it's good because I already forgot the story. I knew like what the main tragedy is, but I'd forgotten everything else. Straight out the gate, what were your initial thoughts after completing it?
Well, I'd never heard of it before, and I
Oh,
didn't.
until I mentioned it?
Correct.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I was completely oblivious to it, which is such a treat. But I had seen something about like it was shocking to people, so I was anticipating something. But yeah, I went in blind, and my initial thoughts are that it's agonizing and effective.
Yeah.
Um, I think it could have been a little bit more elegant, but we'll get into that. But I did really enjoy it. I mean, you're kind of, it's one of those films where you're screaming at the screen, kind of incredulous sometimes. But unless you're in a situation like this, you truly probably don't know how you're going to act.
Which are the types of stories I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
They feel interactive.
Uh-huh.
So the story is that Jesus and Maria are this couple. They've just had a kid. They've moved into a new apartment to prepare for this newborn. And the film opens with them on a morning at a furniture store. And we understand that Jesus has been told he can choose the coffee table. Everything else is Maria's doing, but he can choose the coffee table. So he chooses this ugly ass, like glass coffee table with gold. Like what's propping up the glass are these, they look like gold mermaids.
Yeah, some kind of decoration.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to describe it. And Maria's like, hell no, that shit is ugly as hell. I don't want it in my house. And of course, they start arguing in front of the salesperson, who we can get back to. But ultimately, Jesus decides to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So we see him bring it home, begin to set it up, and Maria is still like hazing him about it and upset. But later that morning, or that afternoon, they have plans for Jesus's brother, whose name is Carlos, I believe,
Uh-huh.
to come over with his new 18-year-old girlfriend, Christina. It's important to know that, well, Maria looks like she's in her late 40s, early 50s to me.
And the actress definitely was in her late 40s when they made
And
this.
Jesus looks like he's maybe in his early 40s. His brother Carlos looks like he's also in his 40s.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm mentioning their ages primarily because having this 18-year-old girlfriend, Christina, feels odd.
Uh-huh. Like
But
a mistake.
but there are plans for them to come over. So Maria says, well, I need to go to the grocery store. So I'm leaving our son, our newborn son, with you.
And notably, the table that had arrived is missing a screw.
Right. So Jesus is not able to properly assemble the coffee table until the missing screw is brought to him. So for now, it's just sort of like the mount of the table with the glass sort of like leaning against it. So as soon as Maria leaves, the baby starts crying.
Mm-hmm.
So Jesus picks up his son, starts walking with him, and out of frame, it would appear that maybe Jesus trips and the baby falls on the glass and somehow the glass breaks. And all we know is the baby is decapitated, obviously killed. And Jesus like is in shock and appears to panic.
Yes, he goes kind of into flight mode a bit.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And this man decides to try to clean up the shit, but doesn't have the nerve to grab the baby's head. So the baby's head is still under the couch. He wraps up the baby's body in a blanket, puts it in the crib, and then cleans up himself, preparing for his wife to return with his brother and maybe future sister-in-law. So everyone's there socializing, and Jesus is acting really, really strange. And that goes on for maybe what, like 45 minutes?
It feels well.
It feels longer than
well,
that.
because you
It's
again,
arduous.
that's part of the agonizing process. Is
Yeah.
like we got to get to this revelation. Please stop talking.
Right. But everything comes to a head because of course everyone's talking about the baby.
Oh,
When
well, just what it's like to be a parent, and Maria's going on about how there's nothing that's meant more to her in her life, and
which is made even more intense because Maria clearly had a geriatric pregnancy and says that it took her 2 years of fertility treatments to become pregnant with the little baby.
Yes, and then immediately, like the neighbor lady who we need to get into makes a comment very early on, like, you should think about having another kid now because your wife looks past her prime or something.
Right. And the baby's name is Cayetano, which is, I guess, the director's name as well.
Yes.
Like full name.
Mm-hmm. And they keep making fun of that name.
Yeah, and they make fun of it. But everything comes to a head because all this talk about babies and Jesus acting weird and sweating and looking like he saw like a ghost and he's having visions. Finally, Jesus's brother Carlos lets the cat out of the bag that his teenage girlfriend is pregnant, 4 months pregnant with a girl.
And this dummy's like, I always knew I'd be a young mother.
And this girl talked about I always would be a young
like
mother.
She has some kind of wisdom. Okay. And she's wearing a t-shirt or a sweatshirt that says "No bad days" in English,
which is kind of funny. But when Carlos spills the beans, everyone's excited except Jesus. And Maria's like, you're not going to, like, your brother just said he's going to have a baby. You're going to be an uncle. Little Cayetenin, as they call him, is going to have like a cousin to grow up with. Like, aren't you excited? And Jesus goes off. Like, ain't nobody excited about you getting this child pregnant. Like, you're ruining her life. You're ruining your life.
You're complicating yours.
You're right. Like, you just make such stupid decisions. And Jesus gets up and walks away. So we cut to Jesus in the bathroom recording a suicide note intended for his wife, or Maria. I think he calls her his partner, so maybe they're not married.
Did you catch their names?
Whose?
Jesus and Maria. Very biblical, no?
Oh. Well, I thought it's Joseph and Maria.
But Jesus is...
Oh, Jesus and... Oh, God. Look at how self-absorbed I am. I'm like, forget Jesus. What about Joseph?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Carlos gets up to check on his brother and catches him leaving this suicide voicemail. So he says, you have to tell me what's going on. We cut to them in the bed, like whatever room the baby's in. And Carlos realizes what happens. And Maria's pounding on the door like, you haven't let me see the baby for 2 hours. I need to breastfeed. I'm breastfeeding in 10 minutes. So Carlos says, we need to figure out what we're going to tell her in the next 10 minutes to make this as like the least traumatic thing possible. But before they can do that, I didn't mention there's a side character, this little raggedy ass girl, this 13-year-old girl who lives in the building, who is in love with Jesus. And she's blackmailing him. She's basically saying, I'm in love with you. I know you're in love with me. If you don't consummate our relationship, and she's literally saying, like, you need to F me, then I'm going to tell everyone that you are.
And I think, as you had mentioned while we were watching it, that is evidence of how Jesus is unable to make the right decision.
Well, let's put a pin in that because I
Okay.
think we should talk about all the themes that we
Okay.
see present in the story. But yes, that I think is definitely one. But that little raggedy ass girl says, you need to tell your wife about us. And to make sure you do so, I'm swinging by this afternoon to pick up my cleaning supplies.
With my dog, Nicholas.
Yeah. Oh, that was the dog's name?
Uh-huh.
Because in Jesus's panic after the baby was killed, he ran to that girl's house to borrow some cleaning supplies. So of course she's like, yes, so I'm going to come get them later. And I'm going to tell your wife if you haven't already told her. So while Carlos and Jesus are in the room with the dead baby, someone knocks on the door. It's a little 13-year-old girl. She demands to come in because she has something to say. And she tells Maria, your man kissed me in the elevator. So Maria seems convinced that maybe that's true because he's been acting weird all day. Oh my God. This girl brings in her little stupid dog, and the dog immediately senses that there's like blood and flesh on the ground. So the dog starts freaking out. And Carlos, the brother, knows because Jesus told him that, because he's like, oh my God, the baby doesn't have a head. Where's the head? It's under the couch. Carlos runs to grab the head before the dog can. And that's when the mother, Maria, discovers that her baby's been killed. She grabs the head, is of course crying.
Screaming.
I mean, yeah, it's more than just crying. Walks out to the balcony and jumps off and kills herself. And we cut to later that evening. Of course, there's a full-on crowd formed around this murder scene. And we find out that Jesus also killed himself. So they're thinking it's like a murder-suicide. Maria had the baby's head in her arms when she landed on the ground. The 13-year-old and 18-year-old are being treated for shock. And Jesus's brother Carlos is in the back of a police car. And apparently all he can do is repeat the phrase, the coffee table. And then the film ends. We do see what looks like maybe the ghosts of the parents and the baby standing by the coffee table, like on the street. But yeah, this movie, you know what it was giving me? What's Ari Aster's short film? There's something about
the Johnsons.
Something strange about the Johnsons.
Yeah.
It was kind of giving me that vibe. Like very, like, I mean, this film's less taboo, I suppose, but equally as like traumatic and upsetting, disturbing. And then, like you already sort of mentioned, it's not the most elegantly crafted film you've seen, but it's serviceable for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's effective.
Yeah, for sure.
It felt like a really dark version. I think I mentioned it's that movie. I think we reviewed it starring Jermaine Fowler and a bunch of it was called The Drop.
That's right, where a group of friends go.
They're in like a tropical island wedding,
like destination wedding in Mexico.
And I think somebody drops a baby.
Someone drops someone else's baby.
Yeah.
And that ruins the trip and everyone's acting weird.
And everybody takes sides. But there's more of there's kind of a discussion of like who should be mad and for how long and why. And it was an accident. There's a lot more ambiguity. This is pretty clear that, this was an accident, but how the choices we make following an accident can really compound things.
Well, let's start there. So some of the major themes that I walk away from. So let's start with what you just said. I think, I'm obsessed with watching true crime stuff and watching body cam stuff and listening to true crime podcasts. And the one thing I think I've learned or solidified is that it's in almost all cases, you will be best served just coming clean.
Exactly.
Now, of course, there are situations where it's like maybe a little white lie might But we're talking about major stuff.
Yeah, just you need to bite the bullet, get it over with.
Because the minute people interpret you as being deceptive in some way, it's like it's really hard to come back from that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like you just said, the decisions we make in an instant can really affect the trajectory of the rest of our lives.
But that's not to say it's always malicious. I think that
no,
the directors and the screenwriter are crafting kind of a psychological portrait a little bit for this man, for Jesus.
well, and I think the fact that what he did was an honest, like it was the definition of an accident. Like, of course, wasn't trying to kill his child, and I don't think this couple's being presented as like they don't want the baby or he doesn't. They are presented as two people who maybe aren't happy together.
Or yeah.
And we get no background on them except that they struggle to get pregnant. They do. This couple looks rough as hell.
They certainly do, yes.
They look rough as hell. But, I do appreciate actors in film looking like real people.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't get a sense of their finances, how long they've been together, their professions. We don't know anything about them except that they bicker in a way that even for someone who's been married for quite some time and has a tendency to go back and forth with my spouse, it seemed a little more troubling. Like, I don't think she has much respect for him. He seems like he's trapped.
Yes,
their prognosis does not seem good.
They need to communicate about some hard truths soon, I think.
And they're old parents.
They are, yes.
They're not fresh, and they have a newborn. They're not. Maria ain't no Janet Jackson, like having a baby at 50.
But Maria is she's kind of insufferable.
Well, I kind of like that her character now after finishing it. I kind of like that she is painted that way because it's sort of not that it softens what Jesus did because he didn't do anything. It was an accident. His actions afterwards he's to blame for, but I think it's interesting to add that to the mix because imagine if she were this lovely woman. Because then you couldn't make fun of it as much, I think.
Well, yeah, then it would be a tragedy, just a straight up tragedy. And this is more of like and maybe that's what I ultimately feel about it. It feels like a situation that would be more beneficial in a shorter format version.
Perhaps, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't disagree with that. But I do think the people who wrote this seem to know how to tell this type of story very effectively. Mm-hmm. And I like it, for sure.
Her name is Estefania de los Santos, by the way.
The actor playing Maria?
Yeah.
And the actor playing Jesus?
David Pareja, who I believe is in this director's first film, which was co-directed.
He reminded me of a very popular Polynesian actor.
Really?
He's in every movie that requires someone be Hawaiian or
Samoan.
Oh, yes. He's in...
including in Avatar.
Yes, and he's in the...
I think he's...
Hobbs and Shaw. He's the Rock's brother.
Yeah, I think he's
him.
From
you
New
said
Zealand.
His name a million times.
Yeah.
I guess I could look up Hobbs and Shaw. Well, I'm not going to be able to recover from this.
Anyway, yeah, so...
Hold, please. Cliff Curtis.
Cliff Curtis, yes.
He was giving Cliff Curtis.
He's Cliff Curtis is in a bit better shape.
Oh,
let's say that. I think Jesus, because people keep making comments about how Jesus is handsome. Like, Jesus needs to clean up some things about himself.
I think Jesus is handsome. I think he just needs to pull himself together. But it makes sense if he's in a situation with a woman who seems like...
Well, she's henpecking.
Like old battle axe.
She's henpecking him, yeah.
Yeah, and he, like you already mentioned, his character is painted as someone who just doesn't know how to take control of a situation.
Well, and the fact that she has controlled, it seems like, every aspect of this baby, the move, and this table seems... Did you see the price tag on it? It was like 1,200 euro.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And that salesman is going hard trying to get rid of this.
Oh, he was funny because he's just straight up lying. But then ultimately he tells the truth when Jesus asks him for the truth. Like, yeah, this shit is ugly.
But then why did Jesus still want that? I don't understand.
Well, see, I think it was an act of like a show of power. Like, I'm going to
Yes.
stick to my guns. This bitch doesn't ever let me do anything.
And I want this. This is so this is a symbol of his authority in this oasis where he has no control.
Which, you know, I just like it kind of like she bothered me, just her behavior. But I just thought like a few years ago in our last house, because I pretty much took control of like in general, like getting furniture and stuff. But we were at a furniture store and you saw a chair, like an accent chair
Mm-hmm.
that was very expensive. And I thought, you know what?
It was on discount though.
It was on sale, but it was still a very expensive chair.
It was.
And my thought was, this man doesn't ever say he wants anything related to furniture, right?
It reminded me of my grandma.
So then I thought, well, he should be able to get this one thing, because when does he ever? And I just kind of felt like, God, I thought that sort of plot point with this couple felt very appropriate. Like, damn. Like, what I'm trying to say is that I think with such a sort of singular event, it really demonstrated the type of dynamic they have.
Well, and also that there are other, it's really not about the coffee table. It's something under the surface that they're not really dealing with, that the coffee table and the act of getting this coffee table is masking.
Although, to be fair, that shit was ugly as hell.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't understand why neither of them, for as desperate as this couple, 2 years of fertility treatment at her age, the stress on her body and psyche, it's like, you're going to have an infant in the house soon. And do you want things with sharp corners? Like, that's not
that part.
Like, that's not a very child-friendly table.
The salesman is telling us, telling the couple that this fine piece of Swedish design made in China will change your life for the better. Well, he says it more than once.
That makes it sound like that's why it's like a Tales from the Crypt episode.
Or a Grimm's fairy tale.
Yeah, like, okay. And this glass that will never break.
And then he keeps saying the glass is unbreakable. So you already know.
That's not true. You know who else used to say that? My mom was affiliated with those people that sold Princess House in the 90s. So we would have ladies come over selling glassware, and they would say shit like that.
You know who bought a fortune worth of Princess House?
Your mom.
My mother.
I know, because I think we still have some of that.
We have like 2 pieces. The rest broke.
But they would do these little tricks with the glasses and roll them on the carpet. And they look at how you can abuse this glassware.
I thought the opening credits were really cool because they looked like the instructions you get in IKEA furniture. Mm-hmm. Okay. We see poor Jesus carrying up this huge box.
Didn't pay delivery fees. That's like,
but he lives in a walk-up, and they look like they're on like the 20th floor.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine?
No. Well, yes, we did get a couch stuck in a stairwell. You and I.
I think we've told that story before.
We probably have, but
we currently, our house now is 4 floors,
and it's a lot of stairs.
And the master bedroom's on the 4th floor, and having these movers bring everything in was stressful as hell.
It was incredibly stressful.
And I want new pieces. Like, I would love to.
I mean, and we paid them, and we tipped them very well. But
I know, but they still complained every effing step.
But it's like, I can't help it. I got to get this shit up here.
But I want new stuff, and I want to get rid of stuff. And the main thing stopping me is the process of getting stuff in and out of this house.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to deter a future buyer. Anyway,
I mean, don't have any knee problems living here.
Yeah. The neighbor girl, that 13-year-old.
That girl was so annoying.
She is a problem.
I was like, you need to record this conversation.
Well, that's the thing,
this crazy little girl.
Well, I kind of dropped the whole themes thing, but that's another thing. Like, his ability to process a problem and handle it appropriately is,
you know what, he's an ostrich.
Defunct.
He's an ostrich.
Yeah.
He sticks his head in the sand. Like, this shit is not going to go away. That is what's frustrating, is watching somebody be like, you're going to have to bite the bullet.
No, I'm a quitter at some things, but
at aforementioned couch and stairwell, you said, let's leave it here.
Yeah. But I think when it comes to like emergency situations, like where it's very serious, I would pride myself in thinking like, I know how to not panic. But when it comes to like mid-range shit, leave it. Just leave it. We're not going to deal with this. But yeah, I couldn't imagine trying to carry stuff up and down. And then like that lady, how is she ever going to go up and down with that baby? Where can they ever go with? They're if that baby can walk before it ever leaves the house.
That's okay too. Baby, I mean, please don't take the baby on the plane. Please don't go on the plane with the baby.
So while Maria is at the grocery store picking up bread and eggs and cheese and wine, she is holding a bottle of wine when a man approaches her and says, "Excuse me, can you tell me like what's a good wine?" And she's like, "Oh," and she seems flattered, like a man's talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
She seems real thirsty, and she goes, "Well, I don't know. What kind of wine do you like?" And then he is asking her about what she has, and then he takes her bottle.
She goes, "This is a inexpensive wine that I really like," and he goes, "Thanks."
And you know what I thought? That would be such a cute thing to do if you were trying to like flirt with someone at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Yeah,
I thought it was really
course.
cute.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And here's my number. Call me maybe.
okay. So before the baby is killed, Jesus realizes he's missing a screw to assemble the coffee table, so he calls the furniture store and demands someone bring it to him.
I need the screw immediately.
So the salesman agrees to come, and then we realize why. Because the salesman appears to have a crush on Jesus.
Well,
Well, I don't know if it's sexual. I assumed it was, but he also then says, like, I don't have friends.
yeah, I don't
The
know.
vibe I was getting was more like, because he goes, I can come by time to time.
He seemed lonely.
I
don't know.
thought that, well, I read it more as like he was attracted to him.
Sure, but he also met him with his wife, so.
Well, that doesn't matter because the whole because I took the whole time to time thing, meaning that he can be discreet.
Uh-huh.
But you reminded me that when we first moved to LA, because in Minnesota we shared a car because we didn't both need one. So when we got to LA, of course, we both needed a car. So I immediately went and got a car. And you reminded me that the salesperson was being very aggressive with, was it both of us?
Well, he was like, we should hang out.
Yeah, and would like message me often to the point where I was like, I think that I'm just going to have to ignore you. But
kind of came across as like LA's a big place and it's hard to meet friends. He said shit like that.
I don't remember why I mean, clearly I didn't want to be his friend, I guess, because I had forgotten about him. But during that whole thing of the salesman trying to flirt with Jesus, he has a clever way. Again, another clever way to get people's contact info. He convinces Jesus to fill out like an information sheet for a raffle. And that's how he gets he's trying to get his phone number and email address. But Jesus gives his email address, which is dearbabyjesus76@gmail.com. So I'm going to email. Should I send an email to that email address?
Sure, why not?
I'm going to send this podcast.
Okay.
And ask them to listen to it and tell them that if they respond, I'll let our listeners know.
7 days.
So I hope you all can look forward to a response from Jesus. Anyway, watching Jesus try to clean up that bloody ass mess.
That was so stressful.
It was so stressful.
Like, man, I don't know what you think you're gonna. It's like, what you want to buy an extra 3 hours of time?
Right?
No, for what?
Not even. He keeps saying, "Give me 2 hours. Give me 2 hours."
Your life's already ruined right now.
Right. But I think that's the other, another fascinating thing, to prolong the inevitable. But it tracks because all the true crime stuff I listen to, all the body cam stuff I watch, where it's like people will literally just, I mean, it's like they can't accept their fate.
Yeah.
Or the truth.
I mean, of course I get not wanting to, but there are some things it's just like there's no way around this.
Right. And the sooner you tackle it head on,
the sooner the healing process begins.
Exactly.
And you know what? The authorities would come. You'd probably get some kind of medication to, help your nerves.
Well, the other gag is that had he handled it appropriately, which was immediately contact emergency services, say there's been an accident, they would have easily been able to see that,
yes,
this baby fell. And what's the most that would happen? Child endangerment, maybe involuntary manslaughter. I don't know what the laws are. I believe they're in España.
His relationship might be over.
He seems not like the bitch anyway. It might be a blessing. And he seems, the way let Maria tell it, Jesus didn't even want a baby. So this might have been a blessing in disguise.
Exactly.
But
So
that sounds terrible. But the point I was trying to make is the gag is, had he handled this situation appropriately, the uh, future Jesus wouldn't be dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And probably not even, I mean, maybe not even worse for wear. Well, traumatized, I'm sure. Like you watched your child be decapitated.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's another theme of just not being able to assess a situation properly. Like, you are making this so much worse.
The moment someone dies in our house, I will immediately call the authorities.
I think I'd be the one in that situation first, and
Oh,
I have a plan.
and you're not implying I'm dying. I think I got a while ago. I think I do.
Well, with your habits, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I'm fine.
So when Maria returns from the grocery store, she can't get into the building, which at first was driving me crazy. But then I realized, oh, they just moved in. But she is ringing that, which reminded me of my own mother, because the building my mom lives in too, I have to be let in.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what it sounds like when I ring her bell. So whenever I go see her, I obnoxiously, because I can hold it down and it just is like this, like, it sounds like the horn from like a semi truck.
It sounds like some kind of a sick animal.
Yes. But that was also adding to the anxiety of like, OMG.
Well, she'd also been calling him from the grocery store and he'd hung up on her and she's pissed.
Well, because at first she was trying to play nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, see, that's the other thing. Her behavior showed me that this is a very common thing, that she's kind of nasty to him and then feels bad.
Yes.
Because she called him trying to play nice.
Yes.
Because she's like, I'm not buying wine because I can't drink because I'm breastfeeding. You should support me. But then she realizes, like, he should probably be able to enjoy a glass of wine with his brother.
Mm-hmm.
So she calls him to say, hey, which wine do you want me to buy? But of course, Jesus is sitting at home covered in his son's blood. So he ends up hanging up on her. So yeah, the combination of her being mad and calling him back and he's not picking up, and then he's not answering the front door. Oh my God.
She's, what did they say? Fit to be tied?
So on our Instagram, I posted a little clip of when Maria finally gets home and sees that the glass is breakable and it broke. She is in the kitchen preparing lunch and is laughing her ass off.
To me, that's the best part of the movie, because also the actor's voice and her laugh she's like an old witch.
It just is diabolical, because it's like, if she only knew.
Well,
that's what's so twisted about it. And I agree. It's the best part of the film to me.
And she's going, oh, it's karma. That's karma that got you. It's
well,
like,
the other thing is,
girl.
her laugh is, yeah, she sounds like a witch, but it also feels very hearty and real.
Yes. And to do that scene, to laugh like that, not that I know about acting per se, but I think that's difficult. That, to me, that was a feat.
Well, I was also thinking that I bet that they probably took some time to get the vibe right, and that was probably a genuine laugh.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as the audience, as a spectator, realizing that this lady is laughing at the broken glass that just decapitated her newborn baby,
it's almost
so out of control, crazy,
a delirious laugh,
and it's so demented.
If you close your eyes when she's speaking, she sounds like a cartoon character, a villainous cartoon character,
or Lindsay Lohan.
What? She's a little bit more raspy than Lindsay or Demi.
Okay, then it just gets more and more dark, because Jesus keeps insisting, like, don't go disrupt the baby. It took me forever to put him down. Just let me take care of it while you relax and make lunch. Like, relax and make food.
Mm-hmm.
But
hey, it can be relaxing.
Well, sure. But Maria keeps like saying, okay, well, fine, but like, make sure you get the baby monitor. And so they put the monitor out. And what does Maria hear? Dripping.
She's like, is something dripping in the...
And of course, as the audience and Jesus, we know that that's the baby's blood dripping.
Like, oh.
You can hear the baby's blood dripping on the baby monitor. It's so out of control. Okay, when we meet Carlos, Jesus's brother, I thought that they had a cute little... I liked that energy that the brother and the girlfriend brought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, anything to get us out of this nightmare.
Exactly. But just a side note, because I've watched a documentary about, it's called Bigorexia, and it hits typically younger men who are obsessed with wanting to be big and muscular.
Mm-hmm.
And I was familiar with that term, but I'd never heard it in a movie. But Carlos says it because they're looking at the baby's bedroom that has all these toys. And I think he picks up like a He-Man type
Well,
toy.
they were the toys that his brother and he used to share as
Yes.
kids. Yeah.
But I thought that was really, I thought that was cool. I had never,
Mhm.
for having watched a couple things about that subject, I never actually heard it used like in conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But we get to the matter at hand, which is eating lunch. And Carlos's girlfriend is vegan, so she doesn't want the omelet.
Yeah, there's a lot of fussing about that.
A lot of fussing about it. And that lunch scene is so awkward because, of course, everyone's trying to, you know, be social and talk about the baby. And Jesus sitting over there looking crazy. But I thought a funny moment was they're talking about love. And I think it starts with, because of course they keep talking about the baby. And I think it's Christina who asks Maria, like, how much do you love your baby? Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you love your baby the most? And she's like, well, to be honest, like, of course I love Jesus, but, and this is another theme I think the film tackles is like, it seems like this baby is all this woman was living for. Like the
Yes.
only thing,
Which I also don't think is healthy. I don't think these love hierarchies are. I mean, I know a lot of people think that way or approach life that way. I don't think that's good either. I don't know.
well, I mean, once the baby was gone, she felt like she didn't have a life to live.
But I mean,
herself.
that plays into attachment theories as well. You know, like if you happen to have parents that maybe their relationship is more important than the children that came versus, you know, the mothers who maybe change up, like my child who I brought into this world means more to me than this husband, that blah, blah, blah.
But the part that I thought was funny is that then Christina's young ass starts naming off all the people she loves in order.
More than Carlos.
And more than Carlos. He's like number 9 or something. And I just thought, because Carlos looks like he's my age, like, dude, that's what you get for dating a teenager.
Well, and that's what I'd be like, you stupid, immature little girl.
Well, then especially after we realize she's pregnant. Like,
you're just meeting my family for the first time. Like,
but that's, I mean, she's a kid.
Exactly. But it's like, you dummy. To him, to Carlos.
Right. But yeah, then after that, things escalate very quickly because Jesus is not here for trying to celebrate his brother's new baby on the way. And then, yeah, it just all devolves. I mean, it happens. There's so much anxiety and stress. This movie is, 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little longer because for what? 50 minutes or more, like it just is so tense of like, what is this man's plan? What did he think why was, like you already said, what did he think these 2 to 3 hours was going to buy him?
Knowing that nothing can be done. So
literally nothing.
We are waiting for this mother to find out and just, you're cringing.
Right. And then once she does, I mean, it just escalates in an instant.
Well, we don't
within 5 minutes.
I think music plays over the reactions in that because I think it would just, otherwise it's too, I think, grisly.
But overall, I think that the screenwriters and the director, this is a story and a film that I'm sure a lot of people would say, I'm sure we're going to get comments that I'm not interested in watching something like that. It sounds horrible. And it is. I mean, we weren't sitting there laughing. I think we were both just disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you are going to tell a story like this, I think that the filmmaker knows how to do it well.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just enough humor to relieve some of the tension. The introduction of these secondary characters come at just the right time. You kind of know what's coming, but I thought it was very effective.
Yeah, I do too.
We didn't even mention, or I don't recall, this director, they've done other films.
They've done a bunch of short stuff and then co-directed a previous feature. Yes.
I would be very interested in watching this director's next film.
Yeah, I think this became pretty well traveled. I know it premiered at the Tallinn Black Nights Film Festival, which is a film festival I always wanted to go to, by the way, that I've never been. Yeah, so I think even premiering there is actually a big deal, but this seems quite well traveled from what I've learned about it thus far. So this probably is going to be a major calling card for him in doing a next feature.
What would you give La Mesita del Comedor?
3.
I think it's very effective. I would give it 3.5 out of 5.
Oh my.
So this coming week will be a little light, I think, because you'll be out of town all week.
Yeah.
And the following week, I'll be out of town.
Mm-hmm.
But I know we have at least one review next week for Death of a Unicorn.
Yeah, and we'll do Lady in the House. Is
Lady
that
in
the
the
title?
house.
With Danielle Deadweiler?
I think she's in the yard.
The Lady in the Yard.
Oh.
She's out.
She's not inside. She's outside.
Outside, yes.
She is outside.
Which, we were at a screening. It was at the screening.
Oh, you're right. We're going to watch it separately and then probably do a Zoom. No.
We'll record it next Friday when I get back. But
yeah. So it'll drop late Friday night, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. But when we were at the Death of a Unicorn screening, there was an employee of AMC, some lady, sitting outside the huge.
Oh my gosh! Inside the AMC theater, there was like a big advertisement, like in the theater for Lady in the Yard, and there was like, if people are familiar with the poster, there's a woman covered in like, she looks like she's in her mourning or grieving clothes, like all black with a veil. And so there's this thing sitting there, and I walk up to it like, oh, is this a real like?
I saw those. I'm like, that's a real lady's hands. Don't touch her.
I know, because I go, oh, those look like real fingers. And I almost grabbed her, but then I realized, oh my God, what if that's a real person?
Like,
and it was.
Yes, because later we walked by again and she was standing up pointing.
I know she was looking at me through that veil, like, if your black ass grabs me, because it was a black woman.
Yes.
But I thought, oh my God, please don't, like, I'm so glad I didn't grab this real person.
I'm like, you better leave her alone.
Because I'm like, I'm a middle-aged man. I should know better than to just walk up and grab.
I'm like,
but my 7-year-old instincts were like, oh, look, I'm going to grab it.
And then I'm like, oh, we're going to get cursed. Don't do that.
Yeah. So I'm so glad I did not disrespect that lady's space.
But there's that. And then we might, if we don't do it, I'll write about it, but the Maria Schneider film.
Oh, well, yeah, too bad, since I was made to watch Last Tango in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's all we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Ta-ta.